She said, "Mating season requires a partner, and she chose me." Eli had never expected his life to change so drastically. Living on a small, quiet colony on the edge of the galaxy, he was used to the slow pace of things. His days were filled with simple routines, helping in the farm fields, fixing broken equipment, and occasionally sitting at the local tavern. Life was peaceful, but it was also uneventful. That was until Lyra arrived. It was a cool evening when Eli first saw her. The twin moons hung high in the sky, casting a soft silver glow over the landscape. Ellie was walking back from the market when he noticed her standing by the edge of the forest, staring out into the distance. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered in the moonlight, a pale blue with hints of purple. Her eyes glowed faintly, the color shifting between shades of green and gold as she moved. She wore a flowing gown made from strange, iridescent fabric that seemed to catch the light in a way that was almost magical. At first, Eli thought she might be a traveler passing through, but something about her presence made him pause. There was an air of authority around her, as if she didn't belong to this planet, or perhaps even this galaxy. "Hello," Eli called out, his voice hesitant. He wasn't used to speaking to strangers, especially ones who looked so otherworldly. Lyra turned her head slowly, her eyes locking with his. She smiled, and for a brief moment Eli felt a strange warmth spread through him, as though he had known her for years. "Hello, Eli," she said, her voice soft and melodic, with an accent that was both foreign and familiar at the same time. "I have been waiting for you." Eli blinked in surprise. "You know my name?" Lyra nodded, her smile widening. "Yes, I have come for you." Eli took a step back, his heart racing. "Come for me? What do you mean?" Lyra's expression softened. "I am Lyra," she began, her words slow and deliberate. "I am from a distant star system, one far from this galaxy. I am part of the Zalrith people, and I have come to choose a partner for the mating season." Eli's mind raced. Mating season? What in the stars was she talking about? "I think you have the wrong person," he said, shaking his head. "I'm just a simple farmer." I'm not the kind of person who—" "You are the one I have chosen," she interrupted gently. "I have come because you are meant to be my partner." Eli stared at her, unsure if he was hearing things correctly. "Partner? But I don't know anything about your customs or whatever you're talking about." Lyra took a step closer, her movements graceful, almost as if she were gliding. "It is simple, Eli. On my planet, during the mating season, each Zalrith chooses a partner from another species. The chosen one is meant to help create a bond that will strengthen our people's connection with the galaxy." She paused, her eyes locking with his again. "I have chosen you." Eli's heart pounded in his chest. He was still trying to process what was happening. "But why me?" he asked, his voice cracking slightly. "Why would you choose a guy like me?" "I'm no one special." Lyra's gaze softened, and she stepped even closer. "You are special, Eli. There is something about you, your spirit, your strength, your kindness. These things are what matter most." She reached out and touched his arm, sending a strange shiver down his spine. "The bond we will share will be unlike anything you have ever known. It will unite us in ways you cannot yet understand." Eli looked at her in disbelief. This was all too much. How could he possibly become a partner to someone like her? She wasn't just beautiful. She was alien, beyond anything he had ever imagined, and yet there was something magnetic about her presence. A pull he couldn't ignore. "I don't know about this," Eli muttered, taking another step back. "This is all too strange. I mean, you're telling me I'm supposed to be your partner in some kind of mating ritual?" Lyra nodded solemnly. "Yes, but it is more than just a physical bond, Eli. It is about unity, about understanding. It is a deep connection that lasts a lifetime." Eli swallowed hard, trying to wrap his head around it all. He had always been curious about other worlds, but never in his wildest dreams had he imagined being asked to take part in something like this. "I don't even know what to say," he admitted, his voice low. You don't have to say anything yet, Lyra replied. I am not asking for your agreement right now. I am simply here to offer you the chance, to show you what could be. Eli stood there, torn between disbelief and curiosity. I don't even know what it would mean, he said, rubbing the back of his neck nervously. I don't know how to do any of this. I've never been part of anything like this before. Lyra gave him a reassuring smile. You do not need to know everything, Eli. All you need is an open heart, and I will guide you through the process. Together we will learn, and we will grow. He could feel the weight of her words, and yet a part of him was still hesitant. He wasn't the kind of person to jump into something so strange and unknown. But there was something in the way she spoke, in the calm assurance of her voice, that made him feel like maybe, just maybe, he was meant to be a part of something bigger than himself. I don't know, he said, his voice quieter now. I'm not sure I'm the right person for this. Lyra stepped forward again, her eyes glowing with a soft intensity. You are exactly who I need, Eli. You are exactly who the universe has chosen for me. Ellie felt a strange warmth spread through him at her words. For a brief moment, he thought about walking away, returning to his quiet life and leaving this strange encounter behind. But something told him that this was an opportunity he couldn't pass up. Maybe it was destiny. Maybe it was fate. He didn't know. All right, Eli said, his voice steadying. I'll do it. I'll be your partner. Lyra smiled, her expression glowing with quiet joy. Thank you, Eli. Together we will begin a new journey. A journey of discovery and connection. You will not regret this choice. As they stood there, the moonlight reflecting off the shimmering landscape, Eli felt a sense of calm wash over him. Despite all the uncertainty and confusion, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. The days that followed Eli's agreement to join Lyra in her ritual were a blur of strange emotions and unknown expectations. He couldn't shake the feeling that his life had been turned upside down in a way he couldn't quite understand. For someone who had always lived a quiet and predictable life, everything had suddenly become uncertain and extraordinary. Lyra was patient with him, guiding him through each day with a calm that somehow made everything seem less overwhelming. Despite her otherworldly appearance and the unusual nature of their bond, Eli found comfort in her presence. Her smile was reassuring, her voice soothing, and slowly he started to relax around her. They spent their days together, walking through the fields, talking about their lives, their cultures, and what was to come. Lyra shared stories of her home planet, the planet of the Zolrith people, a world far away from Earth, one filled with vast oceans and towering cities that floated above the clouds. She spoke of their ancient traditions and the deep respect they held for the natural world, something that seemed to resonate with Eli, even though he had never known anything like it. Eli shared his own stories, too, about life on the colony, the challenges of farming in a harsh environment, and the people he had known. It surprised him how easy it was to talk to her, how comfortable he felt despite the strange situation. He never expected to connect with someone from a completely different world, but here he was, feeling like he could talk to her for hours and never run out of things to say. One evening, as the sun began to set and the sky painted itself in shades of pink and orange, Lyra took Eli to a quiet spot outside the colony. It was a small clearing surrounded by tall, thin trees that shimmered in the fading light. The air was cool and calm, and for a moment, the world felt peaceful. The gentle rustling of the leaves in the wind created a sense of calm that seemed to slow everything down. This is where we will begin, Lyra said softly, looking around the clearing. Eli looked at her in confusion. Begin what? The mating season, she replied. Her voice held a note of finality, but there was no pressure in it. She wasn't forcing him to do anything. Instead, it was more like an invitation, a chance to experience something deep and powerful. Eli swallowed hard. He had known this moment would come, but now that it was here, he wasn't sure what to expect. What do I need to do? Lyra smiled. For now, just trust me, she said, and allow yourself to open up. This bond, this connection, it will be something we both have to allow. It's not just a ritual. It's a chance to understand each other on a deeper level. She stepped closer to him, her eyes glowing softly in the fading light. The Zalrith people believe that the bond between two partners during the mating season must be built from trust, understanding, and mutual respect. It's more than just the joining of bodies, it's the joining of spirits. Eli nodded, trying to focus on her words. He had agreed to this, but he wasn't sure he fully understood what it meant. It wasn't like anything he had experienced before. The idea of connecting with someone on such a deep level was both exciting and terrifying at the same time. Lyra held out her hand to him, and without thinking, Eli took it. Her skin was soft, almost cool to the touch, and it sent a strange shiver up his arm. He looked at her, searching for some kind of reassurance in her eyes. "You are not alone in this," she said, her voice warm. "We will take this one step at a time. You only need to be open to the experience." Ellie's heart raced in his chest as he nodded. There was something calming about the way she spoke, something that made him feel safe despite the fear that gnawed at him. For the next few hours, they sat together in the clearing, talking about everything and nothing at all. Lyra explained the significance of the mating season to her people. Their species need to find a connection with someone from another race, to strengthen their bonds with the universe itself. She spoke of how it wasn't just about love or reproduction, but about something much bigger, a deeper connection that allowed both partners to grow and evolve together. She explained that through the ritual they would both learn to understand each other's worlds and ways of thinking, opening themselves to new possibilities. Eli listened, fascinated by the way she spoke. Despite the strange nature of what was happening, he found himself feeling more and more drawn to her, not just because of her beauty or the unusual nature of their relationship, but because of the way she saw the world. There was a depth to her that he hadn't expected, and it made him realize just how little he had known about the universe outside of his small corner of the galaxy. When the stars began to appear in the sky, Lyra stood up and gently pulled Eli to his feet. "The first part of the ritual is simple," she said. "We will each share a part of ourselves, something we hold dear, something that makes us who we are." Eli felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He wasn't used to sharing personal things with anyone, let alone an alien woman. But he could see the sincerity in her eyes, and he knew that this moment, however strange it seemed, was important. "I'll go first," Lyra said, taking a deep breath. "I will share something of my home. A piece of my world." She closed her eyes for a moment, and when she opened them again, Eli felt a strange energy fill the air. The ground beneath their feet seemed to pulse with a soft glow, and the trees around them shimmered as though alive. Eli could feel the connection forming, a gentle pull between them, as though they were both drawing closer to something invisible but powerful. Lyra began to speak, her voice low and melodic, telling Eli about the great oceans of her planet. She spoke of the way the water glowed under the moonlight, of the creatures that swam beneath the surface, and of the peace she felt whenever she was near the water. As she spoke, Eli felt something stir inside him. It wasn't just the beauty of her words, but the way she made him see her world through her eyes. He could almost feel the waves crashing against the shore, hear the calls of the creatures in the distance. When she finished, she turned to him, her eyes searching his face. "Now it is your turn." Eli hesitated. He wasn't sure how to explain his world to her. How could he possibly make her understand what his life was like on a small farming colony, far from the excitement of the stars? But as he looked at her, something inside him began to shift. He realized that she was asking him to be honest, to open up in a way he never had before. Eli took a deep breath, then began to speak. He told her about the long days spent in the fields, the way the soil felt beneath his hands, the satisfaction of a hard day's work. He spoke of the quiet nights when the stars seemed so close, as if they were watching over him. He told her about the loneliness he sometimes felt, and how the quiet life on the colony had its own kind of beauty, even if it was far from the excitement of the larger world. When he finished, he looked up to find Lyra watching him intently, her eyes soft and understanding. He had shared a part of himself with her, something he had never shared with anyone before, and for the first time he felt as though she truly understood. Lyra smiled gently. "You see, Eli," she said, "we are not so different. Our worlds may be far apart, but the feelings we have, the things we cherish, they are the same. the bond between us is not just about physical connection. It's about understanding, about learning from one another. Eli nodded slowly, feeling something shift within him. Maybe this was what he had been missing all along. A real connection, not just with Lyra, but with the universe itself. As the days passed, Eli's nerves about the upcoming ritual began to grow. The sense of uncertainty that had gnawed at him from the moment he agreed to be Lyra's partner was still there, but it was now mixed with something else. He was beginning to feel a strange pull between him and Lyra, a connection that was unlike anything he had ever known. It was as if every moment they spent together was preparing him for something deeper, something that couldn't be explained, only felt. Lyra, ever patient, continued to guide him through the process with calm assurance. She spoke of the Zalrith traditions often, describing the rituals with a serene confidence that made Eli feel as though he were walking alongside something ancient, something sacred. Yet despite the calmness in her voice, there was a sense of anticipation in the air. He could feel it. The ritual was close, and he couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to go through something so unfamiliar with someone so different. One evening, as they sat beneath the twin moons, Lyra turned to him with a serious expression. "Tomorrow the ritual begins," she said, her voice soft but firm. "Are you ready, Eli?" Eli looked at her, unsure of what to say. Was he ready? How could he be ready for something he didn't even fully understand? He had agreed to be part of this, but now standing on the edge of the unknown, he wasn't so sure. "I don't know," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not sure what to expect." Lyra nodded. You do not need to know everything. You only need to trust the process. And trust me." He hesitated, but the warmth in her gaze gave him the courage to nod. "I trust you." The next morning, as the sun began to rise, Lyra led him to a secluded spot outside the colony. It was a small valley, hidden between two rocky hills where the earth seemed to pulse with an energy that Eli couldn't quite explain. The air here was thicker, almost electric, and the gentle breeze carried the scent of something unfamiliar, something sweet and calming. "This is where we will begin the first part of the ritual," Lyra explained, her voice steady and calm. The Zalrith people believe that true connection can only be achieved when both partners have offered a symbol of their worlds to each other. For us, this is the first step. Eli stood silently, taking in the serene beauty of the place. He didn't know what he was supposed to do, but something in the air made him feel like he was in the right place. There was no turning back now. Lyra gestured for him to sit on a large rock at the edge of the valley. She moved gracefully to the center of the space where a circle of stones had been arranged in an ancient pattern. The rocks were weathered, their surfaces smooth and worn from centuries of use, and Eli couldn't help but feel a sense of awe as he gazed at them. "This is a sacred space," Lyra said softly, "a place where many Zalrith couples have joined before. It is here that we will begin our connection." Eli sat down as instructed, his heart beating faster now. He didn't know what was about to happen, but he could feel that it was important. The air felt heavier now, as if something was about to unfold. Lyra stepped into the center of the stone circle and closed her eyes. She stood perfectly still for a moment, as if in deep concentration. Then, with a soft exhale, she began to speak in a language Eli couldn't understand. The words were melodic and strange, yet somehow soothing. As she spoke, the stones around her began to glow faintly, their surfaces shimmering with an otherworldly light. Eli felt a strange warmth spread through him, starting in his chest and radiating outward. It wasn't painful, but it was intense, a feeling of being drawn in, like the earth itself was pulling him closer to something. The sensation was both foreign and comforting, and Eli realized that he was no longer just an observer. He was part of something much bigger than himself. Lyra finished speaking and turned to face him. Her eyes were closed and her face was serene. "The first part of the ritual is about understanding," she said. "It is about offering a piece of your soul to the one you are bonded with." Eli stood up, feeling the weight of her words. He wasn't sure what she meant, but there was something in her gaze that made him feel like this was the most important thing he had ever done. He took a deep breath and stepped into the center of the stone circle, standing before Lyra. "Close your eyes," she instructed. "Open your mind and let the connection begin." Eli did as she asked, his heart racing in his chest. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, focusing on the sound of his own breath, the stillness around him. As he breathed in and out, he could feel a strange energy surrounding him, something gentle yet powerful, pulling him closer to Lyra. Then, without warning, a flash of light filled his mind. It was like a vision, but not one he could fully explain. He saw himself standing in the fields of the colony, the wind gently blowing through his hair. He saw the stars above him, vast and endless, and felt the weight of their distance. He saw Lyra beside him, her hand in his, and in that moment, everything felt clear. He wasn't just connected to her physically. He was connected to her soul, her very being, and in that connection, he could see the vastness of the universe stretching out before them. The vision faded as quickly as it had come, and Eli opened his eyes, gasping for breath. The air felt thick with energy, and he could still feel the warmth of the connection between him and Lyra like an invisible thread tying them together. Lyra opened her eyes as well, her face soft with understanding. "You have seen it, haven't you?" she asked quietly. Eli nodded, still stunned by the experience. I don't know how to explain it, but yes." She smiled, her eyes glowing with something deeper than just kindness. "This is the beginning, Eli. The first step in our journey together." For the next few hours they continued the ritual, each step deepening their bond. Lyra guided him through the ancient practices, showing him how to connect with the energy of the earth, the sky, and each other. With each step, Eli felt himself growing closer to her, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. It was a feeling unlike anything he had ever known, a sense of unity that transcended the limits of his understanding. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in vibrant oranges and reds, Lyra took Eli's hand and led him to the edge of the valley. "The ritual is not over, but we have completed the first part," she said softly, "and in that we have begun our journey." Eli looked at her, a sense of calm washing over him. He still didn't fully understand everything that had happened, but one thing was clear. This was just the beginning. He had agreed to this bond, and now, more than ever, he felt ready to see it through. The connection between him and Lyra was real, and it was only going to grow stronger as they moved forward. Together, they would face whatever came next. The days after the ritual passed quickly, yet every moment seemed to carry a sense of weight. Eli had never experienced anything like this before. The connection between him and Lyra was undeniable, deepening with each passing day. He had come into this with doubts, unsure of what he was truly signing up for. But now, as he stood by Lyra, feeling the bond between them grow stronger, he couldn't imagine his life without her. The ritual had opened his mind, his heart. He saw the world through new eyes, her eyes, and it was as if the barriers between their worlds had begun to dissolve. He understood now why the Zalrith people chose a partner during the mating season, not just for physical reasons, but for something far more profound. The connection they shared was not only about love or companionship, but about growth, about evolving together, discovering new aspects of themselves through each other. Lyra was with him in a way he had never experienced. She had guided him through the ritual with patience and grace, helping him open his heart and mind to the wonders of her world. But more than that, she had shown him how to understand the bond they now shared. It wasn't just a ritual. It was a promise, a vow to be there for each other, to grow and learn, to face whatever came next, together. One evening as the sun set behind the distant hills, casting a warm golden glow over the land, Lyra turned to Eli. "We are at the final stage of the bonding, Eli," she said, her voice gentle but filled with meaning. "Now we must seal our bond not through words or rituals, but through understanding. We must accept each other completely, as we are, with no barriers, no doubts." Eli felt a sense of calm wash over him. They had already shared so much, and yet he knew this moment was different. This wasn't just about connecting physically or emotionally. This was about fully embracing each other, about allowing their worlds to merge, no longer as two separate beings, but as one. "I'm ready," Eli said quietly, his voice steady despite the emotions swirling inside him. He didn't know what was to come, but he trusted Lyra, and more than that, he trusted himself. Lyra smiled, a soft, knowing smile. She stepped closer to him, her eyes meeting his. "Then let us begin," she said, her voice low and serene. They stood together side by side, facing the vast expanse of the valley before them. The stars were beginning to appear in the sky, twinkling brightly against the deepening darkness. Eli could feel the energy of the universe around them, as if the very air was charged with possibility. It was as if they were standing at the threshold of something extraordinary. Lyra reached out and gently took Eli's hand. "Close your eyes," she whispered. "Trust in the bond we have created." Eli obeyed, closing his eyes and taking a deep breath. The world around him seemed to quiet, and he focused on the warmth of Lyra's hand in his. He could feel the connection between them, stronger now than ever before. It was as if their very souls were intertwined, bound by something far greater than just the physical. In the stillness of the moment, Eli felt something shift. It wasn't a sudden change, but a gentle unfolding, like the petals of a flower opening to the light. He felt his heart beat in rhythm with Lyra's, as if they were one. The boundaries between them dissolved, and he could sense her thoughts, her feelings, her essence, merging with his own. Lyra's voice echoed softly in his mind. "You are not just my partner, Ellie. You are my equal, my other half. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart." Eli felt a surge of emotion, a deep sense of gratitude and love. He had never experienced anything like this before, this connection, this unity. It was as if he had found the missing piece of himself, the part of him that had always been searching for something more. "I feel it, Lyra," Eli replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "I feel everything. I understand now. We are one." The world around them seemed to fade as they stood together, the bond between them growing stronger. Eli could feel the energy of the earth beneath them, the stars above them, the very fabric of the universe pulsing in harmony with their connection. It was as if they had become part of something much greater than themselves, something timeless and eternal. Lyra squeezed his hand, her touch gentle yet firm. "This is just the beginning, Eli," she said softly. "Together, we will face whatever challenges come our way. Together, we will explore the universe, not as two separate beings, but as one. This bond we share is not just for this season, but for a lifetime." Eli nodded, his heart swelling with a mix of emotions, love, gratitude, and awe. He had entered this journey with uncertainty, but now, standing beside Lyra, he knew that this was where he was meant to be. The bond they shared was real, deep, and unbreakable. It was a connection that transcended everything he had ever known, a bond that would last far beyond the stars. As the night deepened and the stars above them shone brighter, Eli and Lyra stood together, united by the bond they had formed. There were no more doubts, no more fears, only the certainty that they were exactly where they were meant to be, together. In that moment, Eli realized that the universe was vast, and there was so much more to explore. But he also understood that, with Lyra by his side, he could face anything. Together, they would discover the wonders of the galaxy, build a life filled with love and understanding, and create a future that was theirs to shape. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: they would face it as one,